The explosion tore through the quiet neighborhood like a scream from hell. Smoke, sirens, and a single figure crawling from the flames, bloody, trembling, clutching a silver badge. That figure was my grandma. The HOA security had come to evict her. They didn't know she was a retired general, and what happened next shocked the entire city. Because every and they waited. Someone else paid the price. The fire was already dying when I got there. Flames licking the blackened fence, the smell of melted plastic, the sound of something crackling, maybe the remains of a garden chair, maybe something worse. I remember screaming her name, Grandma. My throat burned from the smoke, but I kept shouting. My lungs felt like they were tearing apart, but the fear was stronger. I saw her house, the house she built with Grandpa 30 years ago, half collapsed, the porch swallowed by fire. And then I saw her, crawling, slow, her face smeared with ash and blood, a silver badge clutched in her hand, the same badge she once kept locked in a box, saying she'd never need it again. That's when I realized this wasn't an accident. The security truck was still parked outside. The letters HOA enforcement were melted on its side. Their uniforms lay scattered near the gate. Someone had run, someone had fought, and Grandma, she wasn't just surviving, she was angry. I ran toward her, tripping over debris, shouting her name again. She looked up at me, eyes sharp and focused, like she wasn't even in pain. She just said, "They crossed the line." That's when I noticed the gun, a small black pistol tucked under her arm, not military grade, civilian issue, but the way she held it, steady, calm, no shaking. That wasn't the hand of a frightened old woman, that was a soldier's grip. "Help me up," she said. I hesitated, terrified and confused. But I pulled her to her feet anyway. She was bleeding from her shoulder, yet she stood taller than I ever seen her. 3 hours earlier, the HOA had shown up again. 3 men in gray uniforms, driving a white pickup. They said her lawn violated neighborhood standards, said her mailbox was not uniform, said the flag on her porch was non-regulation. She'd heard it all before. But this time, they brought papers, eviction papers. I remember her sitting by the kitchen table, staring at the notice. The morning light hit her metals, old, dusty, forgotten. Her hands trembled for a second, then stopped. "I fought for this country," she whispered, "and now they want my home." That's when I should have realized something was coming, but I didn't. I just told her we'd call a lawyer, file an appeal, something. She smiled, the kind of tired smile people wear when they already know the outcome. She just said, "Lawyers won't save you when men in uniforms decide to take your house." Back to the fire. Paramedics arrived, asking what happened. Grandma wouldn't speak. She just stared at the HOA truck, jaw clenched. One of the medics tried to touch her arm. She flinched. "Don't touch me," she said quietly. "I'm fine." But she wasn't fine. Not physically, not mentally. Something inside her had awakened. Later, when we got home, or what was left of it, she went to the old storage room. She opened a locked chest I'd never seen before. Inside were photos, documents, a worn-out military cap, and a single note. "If they ever come for me again, I'll be ready." That was dated 12 years ago. That night, I couldn't sleep. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw the explosion. But more than that, I saw her face, calm, focused, cold. In the morning, I found her cleaning the pistol. She was sitting on the porch that was half burned, sunlight cutting through the smoke like a spotlight. "They think I'm weak," she said, not looking up. "They think I'm just another old lady with memories. But I was trained to fight wars. They forgot what war looks like." I asked her what she was planning. She didn't answer. She just said, "Coming up next, we find out who gave the order." The next day, HOA officers came again. New ones this time. You could tell they were nervous. Their boss, a man named Riker, had sent them. He was known for being ruthless. People said he'd evicted a veteran once for flying a flag too high. They told us to vacate the property. I told them my grandmother was injured. They said, "Not our problem." Grandma stepped out then. Bandaged shoulder, firm posture. The younger officer tried to speak, but she cut him off. "Do you know who I am?" she asked quietly. He said, "A homeowner in violation of." She threw something at his feet. It was her badge. General Irina Vetrova, retired, commanding officer, 3rd Armored Division. Silence. You could feel the air shift. The officers froze. Then she leaned closer. "You boys ever disobeyed a lawful order?" They didn't answer. They just stepped back slowly. That was the moment I realized This wasn't about lawn rules or mailboxes anymore. This was personal. Someone in that HOA had a reason to push her out, and she was going to find out who. I asked her again what happened before the explosion. She said she'd tried to reason with them. They started shouting. One of them pushed her. Then everything went white. But here's the part that didn't make sense. There were traces of explosives near the gas meter. Someone had tampered with it. Grandma, I said. This wasn't just an eviction. She nodded. It was an attack. For the first time, I saw fear in her eyes. Not for herself, for me. They'll come again, she whispered. They don't like unfinished business. I wanted to ask who they were, but she was already walking back inside. That's when I saw her military duffel bag on the table. It was open. Inside were maps, a small radio, and files with HOA member names. She'd already started her own investigation. As the sun went down, I stood by the ruins of her house. I could still hear the echoes of the explosion in my head. Somewhere in the dark, a car engine started. Headlights flickered from across the street. Someone was watching us. I turned to call her, but she was gone. Only the screen door swinging in the wind. And that's when the fear really sank in. Not just fear of what they'd done, but fear of what she was about to do next. Because when my grandma went to war, she never left survivors. Coming up, you'll learn what happened when she found out who ordered the attack, and why the entire HOA would soon regret ever crossing her. Morning came with silence. No birds, no wind. Just the soft hum of the refrigerator. One of the few things the fire didn't touch. I stood by the window, staring at what used to be my grandmother's garden. Charred ground, bent metal, dead roses. Grandma was already awake. She hadn't slept. She sat at the table, a cup of untouched coffee in front of her. She wasn't looking at anything, just listening, like a soldier waiting for orders. She said, "They'll try again." Her voice was calm, too calm. I didn't ask how she knew, because when you've lived through war, you don't guess, you feel it. An hour later, it happened. A quiet knock on the door. We both froze. It wasn't the police, not the insurance agents, just one slow, deliberate knock, then silence. Grandma motioned for me to stay still. She grabbed the pistol from the counter and crept to the door. No words, just that same iron stare. When she opened it, no one was there, only a single envelope lying on the porch. No name, no return address, just the HOA logo printed in the corner, the same one on their trucks. Inside was a short message: vacate within 48 hours. Failure to comply will result in permanent removal. Enforcement Division. I felt my stomach drop. Permanent removal. I looked at Grandma. She didn't flinch. She just folded the letter neatly, placed it on the table, and said, "So it's official." I asked what that meant. She looked at me with eyes that could freeze a storm. "It means this is war." For the next few hours, she was silent. She cleaned her gun. She wrote something in a small notebook, lines of coordinates and names I didn't recognize. I tried to distract her, asked if we should call the police. She laughed, not out of humor, out of disbelief. "The HOA is the police here," she said. "They've got the city in their pocket. They decide what's right and wrong. They write the rules." I didn't want to believe it, but part of me knew she was right. I'd seen them before, shutting down neighbors' barbecues, issuing fines for unapproved decorations, forcing families out over trivial things. But this was different. This was violence. That night, something strange happened. At around 2 a.m., I woke up to the sound of a truck idling outside. I looked out the window, a black SUV, no headlights, two silhouettes inside. Then I saw Grandma, already standing by the door, fully dressed, pistol in hand. She whispered, "Stay low." I watched as she stepped onto the porch, the wind lifting her hair, her eyes reflecting the faint light of the burning street lamp. The SUV started to move, slowly, like it was circling the house. And then, a flash, camera shutter. They were taking pictures. Grandma aimed at the car. I shouted, "Don't." She didn't shoot, not yet. The car sped away, tires screeching. The silence that followed was louder than any explosion. She turned to me and said, "They're testing us, seeing if I'll react. They want me to break first." I asked, "What happens if you don't?" She looked at the ground. "Then they will." The next morning, she was gone. Just like that, her bed untouched, her duffel bag missing. I found a note taped to the fridge: "Don't follow me. They'll be watching you. I need to talk to someone from my unit." Of course, I followed her anyway. I drove to the Veterans Center downtown. She mentioned it once. Said she used to meet old comrades there. When I arrived, the place was half empty. Old flags on the walls, dust on the furniture. A man in uniform sat near the back, alone, drinking cold coffee. I asked if he'd seen her. He looked at me for a long time before answering. She was here, he said. Asked about a man named Riker. That name again. The head of HOA enforcement. The man sighed. Tell her to be careful. Riker wasn't just HOA. He used to be one of us. That hit me like a punch. Wait, what do you mean? I asked. He leaned forward. He was military, discharged under dishonorable terms. Rumors said he sold information. Now he's running this operation. Whatever your grandma's caught in, it's bigger than housing violations. I felt cold all over. When I left the center, I noticed something under my windshield wiper. Another envelope. This one wasn't from the HOA. It was from her. They found me. Stay away from the house. If you hear the sirens, run. I sped home anyway. And when I got there, I saw it. Two black SUVs, lights flashing. Security men surrounding the ruins of our property. They were dragging out boxes, taking her documents, her medals, even her photographs. I shouted at them to stop. One of them turned and pointed at me, hand on his weapon. That's when I heard her voice. Let him go. She was standing at the corner of the street, coat flapping in the wind, pistol raised. The men froze. General Vetrova, one said. You are under arrest for. Don't, she said quietly. You don't have the authority. And then, everything slowed. A flash, a gunshot, a scream. I dropped to the ground. Someone had fire. But not her. The bullet hit the mailbox next to her head, sparks flying. The men dove for cover. She returned fire. Two quick shots, precise, controlled. One of the SUV's tires burst. Another man fell, clutching his leg. Then silence again, smoke rising, shattered glass, the smell of gasoline. When it was over, they retreated. She didn't chase them. She just stood there, breathing hard, weapon still steady. I ran to her, heart pounding. Grandma, what are you doing? She said, defending what's mine. I told her this would only make it worse, that they'd call the cops, the media, someone. She shook her head. They won't, she said, because they can't explain why a retired general has proof of their corruption. That's when she opened her coat pocket and showed me something. A flash drive. Found it in Riker's office, she said. They've been laundering money through HOA fees, blackmailing families, taking kickbacks from developers, and they wanted me gone before I talked. I asked how she even got into Riker's office. She smiled. Old habits die hard. But before I could ask more, we heard distant sirens. She turned to me and said, it's time to make a choice. That was the first dilemma. She gave me the flash drive and said, if they catch me, you release this to the news. But if you do that, they'll come for you next. If you don't, I'll disappear. And maybe live long enough to end this my way. She looked me in the eyes. You have 1 minute to decide. I froze. Every second felt like an hour. She stepped into the smoke, her figure fading. And then the sirens grew louder. I stood there, clutching the flash drive, hearing her words echo in my head. If they catch me, you release this. But if you do, my hands were shaking, my heart racing. I had no idea which choice would kill her faster, betrayal or silence. Coming up, you'll see what happens when the truth inside that flash drive comes to light, and how one decision will decide who lives and who vanishes forever. The sirens were getting closer. I ran. Not because I was guilty, but because I didn't trust anyone left wearing a badge. The flash drive burned in my palm like a live grenade. I ducked into an alley 2 blocks away, hid behind a dumpster, tried to breathe. Smoke still lingered in the air from the gunfight. My hands smelled like gunpowder. Somewhere in the distance, Grandma's voice echoed in my mind. Don't let them take it. Don't let them bury the truth. But what was the truth? I found an old laptop in my car. Battery low. Internet connection barely working. But it was enough. When I plugged in the flash drive, I didn't expect what I saw. It wasn't just documents. It was a list. Names, addresses, amounts of money transferred. Each entry had a note beside it. Approved demolition, forced relocation, assets seized. These weren't just HOA fines. They were organized evictions, systematic removals of homeowners for profit. Families forced out, properties were sold to private developers. Millions in bribes. At the bottom of the list, Riker, and below him, Councilman Drew Halloran, That's when everything clicked. The HOA wasn't acting alone. The city government was in on it. And Grandma, she must have known. I copied everything to my phone and destroyed the flash drive. But before I could leave, a notification popped up on the screen. User Riker. Remote access detected. He knew I had it. I slammed the laptop shut and threw it into the trash. The next second, my phone buzzed. Unknown number. I answered. A man's voice. Cold, calm, controlled. Brave of you to look inside. Kid, your grandmother taught you well. Who is this? I asked. You already know. Now, listen carefully. If you value her life, you'll bring me that data by tonight. I stayed silent. She's alive, he said, for now. But she's not as fast as she used to be. Click. The line went dead. I slammed my fist against the steering wheel. He had her. I needed help. Someone who wasn't afraid of the HOA. Someone who could get this story out before they silenced both of us. That's when I remembered her old friend, Captain Miles Denton, former intelligence officer, retired, but paranoid enough to keep his ears in every corner of the city. I found his address through a veterans contact board, a rundown apartment complex near the docks. He opened the door with a shotgun in his hands. When he saw me, he frowned. You look like hell. She's in trouble, I said. They've got her. Who? The HOA. He laughed. You mean the homeowner association? I pulled out my phone and showed him the list. The laughter stopped. For the next 2 hours, we went through every file. His expression grew darker with each page. Holy hell, he muttered. This isn't HOA business. This is corporate displacement, controlled by Halloran's office. He looked at me. Your grandmother. She must have been close to something big. Maybe too close. I nodded. She said Riker used to serve with her. He froze. Wait. Riker Holtzman? I nodded again. He sighed. Then she's not just in trouble. She's in a trap. He explained everything. Back in the service, Riker and Grandma were part of the same operation. Fort Jericho. Covert demolitions you need during Reconstruction years. Their job was to clear hostile structures, but somewhere along the line, Riker started using that authority for profit, selling information, taking side deals. Grandma found out. She reported him. He was discharged, stripped of rank, disappeared. Until now. Now he built his own army, under the mask of an HOA. That night, Miles pulled out a radio transmitter, old military tech. If he's using encrypted channels, I might still trace him, he said. Static filled the room. Then a faint voice. Target secured. Location Delta confirmed. Transfer scheduled for 090. Miles looked up. They're moving her tomorrow. Where? I asked. He pointed to a line of coordinates on his notepad. Industrial zone. Old textile factory. We drove all night. Rain poured down. Every streetlight felt like a spotlight aimed right at us. By dawn, we reached the factory. Rusted gates, broken windows, no guards in sight. Too quiet. Miles parked the car. You stay here, he said. If I'm not back in 15. But I was already running toward the building. Inside, the air smelled like oil and dust. I moved through the shadows, heart pounding, until I saw movement. 2 men dragging a woman across the floor. Grandma. I stepped out. Let her go. They turned. One pulled his gun. Before he could fire, a loud crack echoed. Miles, from the balcony above. Rifle aimed steady. The man dropped. The other raised his hands. I rushed to her. Grandma. Are you okay? She smiled faintly. Took you long enough. We hid behind an old machine while Miles covered us. She whispered, you shouldn't have come. They would have killed you. She looked at me. Fierce, proud, but tired. You don't understand. They need me alive. I'm the only one who can expose them properly. You, though, you're just leverage. I felt a chill. She handed me a small folded paper. Coordinates. Go there if I don't make it out. Someone owes me a favor. Before I could reply, gunfire erupted. Miles shouted. They're surrounding us. Bullets tore through the walls. Sparks flew. The air filled with smoke and chaos. Grandma grabbed my hand. If you get the chance, run. I'm not leaving you. You will, she said, because that's what soldiers do. They survived to finish the mission. We tried to move, but more guards stormed in. Miles covered us, yelling over the gunfire. Go, kid. Grandma pulled me toward a side door, dragging her injured leg. We made it into a hallway filled with crates and cables. Behind us, an explosion. The upper floor collapsed. Miles was gone. No. I screamed. She turned me around, eyes burning. Don't look back. Move. We burst through the back exit, stumbling into the rain. For a few seconds, the world was quiet again. Just rain hitting concrete. Then headlights cut through the darkness. A black SUV blocked our path. Riker stepped out, calm, unarmed, smiling, always dramatic. Aren't you, General? She raised her gun. End of the road, Riker. He raised his hands. You won't shoot me. You still believe in rules. She didn't lower her weapon. He laughed. You think you're the hero here. You're the one who started this. Fort Jericho was your creation. You trained me. You built the monster. I could see her hand tremble for the first time. Riker stepped closer. You don't need to fight anymore. Give me the data. Walk away. She said nothing. Then he looked at me. You have it, don't you? I froze. He smiled. I knew she wouldn't destroy it. He stepped closer, whispering, You want her to live? Hand it over. That was the second dilemma. Give him the files, save her life but bury the truth, or refuse, and lose her forever. My throat went dry. I could feel her eyes on me. She shook her head slowly. Don't. Riker pulled a gun. 3 seconds. Stop. I yelled. You'll kill her. He smiled. 1. I had no choice. I threw my phone at his feet. He picked it up, checked the files, but his smile faded. Nice try, he said. Fake data. Grandma fired. The shot hit his shoulder. He fell back, screaming. More guards appeared. We ran. We hid under a bridge, drenched and shaking. She leaned against the wall, breathing hard. You shouldn't have done that, she said. What? Saved your life? No. Hesitated. He saw it. He'll use it against you. I didn't understand what she meant then, but when dawn broke, I got a message on my phone. You think she's safe? Check the news. I opened it. Headline: HOA security officer shot. Homeowner's family wanted for attempted murder. They'd turned us into fugitives. Coming up, you'll learn how we went underground, what secrets the coordinates led us to, and the one person who could finally destroy Riker's empire from the inside. Rain poured all night. We drove without lights, no idea where to go. Grandma sat beside me, silent, soaked in blood and mud. I didn't ask if she was okay. I already knew the answer. We stopped at an abandoned rest stop miles from the city. Broken windows. Rusty vending machines. The kind of place no one checks. I turned off the engine. She said, Give me the coordinates. I handed her the note she'd given me back in the factory. She stared at it for a long time, lips moving silently, like she was praying. Then she said, Drive north. The road turned to dirt, then forest, then nothing. We reached an old cabin hidden behind the trees. Looked like it hadn't seen life in 20 years. This is it? I asked. She didn't answer. She just walked straight to the door and knocked 3 times. Pause. 2 more knocks. Some kind of code. A minute later, the door opened. An old man stood there. Gray beard. Cold eyes. 1 arm missing. He said, You took your time, Irina. So yeah. They knew each other. Inside, the cabin was filled with maps, radios, and stacks of old ammo boxes. He introduced himself as Oleg, former recon, used to serve under her. He looked at me and said, So this is the bow. Grandma nodded. My grandson. He smirked. Didn't think you were the family type. Then his face turned serious. You brought trouble here, didn't you? She said. They're coming. Riker's still alive. He cursed under his breath. That bastard. We sat by the table. Candlelight. Rain hammering the roof. Oleg opened an old laptop. No internet. Just local files. She gave him a flash drive backup. Not the real one. A decoy. But he didn't need to know that yet. He ran some checks. Then looked up. You realize what this means. If this data goes public, the city burns. Not metaphorically. Literally. Developers, banks, councilmen. They'll do anything to keep this buried. She nodded. Then let it burn. I interrupted. What if we just run? They both looked at me like I was a child. Run where? She said. They'll track us anywhere. They control the cameras, the drones, the news. Oleg added, Kid, you don't run from a system. You expose it. I stared at them, shaking my head. They framed us for murder. If we go public, we're dead. Grandma's tone softened. Then we die for something that matters. That hit hard. At dawn, Oleg went outside to check the perimeter. When he came back, his face was pale. They found us. Through the trees. Headlights. At least for vehicles. Black SUVs. Grandma grabbed her weapon. We fight? No. I said, you're hurt. She smiled faintly. So are they. They just don't know it yet. Bullets tore through the walls. We hit the floor. Oleg fired back through the window. I dragged a crate to cover the side door. Grandma crawled to the radio. This is Vetrova. Code Iron Gate. Request immediate blackout. No response. Just static. She cursed quietly. They've jammed us. Smoke filled the cabin. Wood splintered. A grenade rolled across the floor. Oleg kicked it back out the door. Explosion shook the forest. Basement. Grandma yelled. We rushed down the stairs into a hidden cellar. Concrete walls. Old generator. A narrow tunnel leading out. She grabbed my shoulder. If I don't make it, you take that tunnel and keep driving north. There's someone waiting. An old journalist named Heath Carver. She owes me. I shook my head. No. We stay together. She looked at me, eyes tired but burning with fire. You're all I have left. Don't waste it. Then she climbed back up. I waited 5 seconds, then followed her anyway. She was already at the door, shooting toward the trees. Oleg was down, bleeding. 2 SUVs burning. 3 men left. One shouted, "Drop it, Vetrova." She shouted back, "You first," and shot him clean in the leg. But she was slowing down, her shoulder bleeding again. I fired Oleg's gun at the others. My hands were shaking, but I hit one. The other ran. Silence again. Rain falling through holes in the roof. Smoke rising. I ran to her. She was sitting on the floor, breathing heavy. They won't stop, she said. Riker will keep sending them until one of us is gone. I said. Then we go to the media. She nodded weakly. Eve Carver. She was a war reporter. She'll listen. Oleg groaned from the floor. Don't trust anyone, he said. Then went still. We didn't have time to mourn. We took his truck, drove until sunrise. I could see exhaustion in her face, but also something else. Regret, she said quietly. You shouldn't have seen this. I tried to keep you out. I said. You think hiding would have saved me? She smiled sadly. No. But it would have saved what's left of your innocence. We stopped at a motel. Fake names. Cash only. She cleaned her wounds in silence. I watched the news. Our faces everywhere. Armed fugitives. Considered extremely dangerous. They didn't even call her by name. Just the suspect. I wanted to smash the screen. She said. Let them talk. The louder they shout, the more scared they are. That night, she couldn't sleep. She stood by the window, staring at the rain. I asked what she was thinking. She said, about the last time I saw Riker before all this. He begged me not to report him. Said he'd change. Said he just wanted out. I asked, and you didn't believe him? She turned. He shot my driver that night. That's how I knew who he really was. Silence again. She looked back at the window. You know what the hardest part is? I still remember when he was a good soldier. Brave. Loyal, the kind of man you'd follow anywhere. Then her voice broke slightly. Now look at us, at dawn. She packed her bag. We leave in 20 minutes. Eve's waiting at a safe house near the harbor. She'll help us get the evidence out. I nodded, but part of me didn't believe it would be that easy, because nothing had been easy since the day that first explosion tore our life apart. On the road, she said quietly. When we get there, you let me do the talking. Eve knows what she's risking by helping us. Then she added, and if something goes wrong, you keep the engine running. That tone in her voice, I knew what it meant. She wasn't planning on both of us leaving alive. Coming up next, the meeting at the harbor, the betrayal none of us saw coming, and the decision that turned everything upside down. The harbor smelled like metal, salt, and rain. Fog rolled over the water, thick as smoke. We parked behind an old warehouse near Pier 19. Engines off. No movement, just silence. The kind that hurts your ears. Grandma checked her gun. I checked my pulse. Felt like it was trying to punch its way out. She'll come alone, Grandma said. If she brings company, we leave. No questions. I nodded, but deep down, I didn't believe it. Nothing in this story had gone according to plan. 5 minutes later, headlights sliced through the fog. A blue sedan stopped 20 feet away. A woman stepped out. Tall, dark coat. Cigarette glowing like a warning light. Eve Carver, Grandma whispered. Still alive. Eve walked toward us slowly. Her eyes scanned everything. The truck, the shadows, me. Then she smiled. Irina Vetrova. I was starting to think you were a ghost. Grandma didn't smile back. Ghosts don't bleed. They hugged for exactly 1 second. Then Grandma said, "You got my message." Eve nodded. "Encrypted radio frequency, right? Only you would still use that old war tech." Then she looked at me. "And who's the kid?" "Grandson," Grandma said. "My reason for not being dead yet." Eve smirked. "Cute. You always did like collecting strays." We went inside the warehouse. The air was colder there, smelled of oil and rats. Eve had a small setup. Camera, laptop, satellite modem. She said, "This isn't safe. The second I upload, someone will trace it. But we'll have 10 minutes. Maybe less." Grandma nodded. "That's all we need." She placed the flash drive on the table. Eve frowned. "That's not the original." I froze. Grandma didn't flinch. "You always were too sharp." Eve stepped closer. "You don't trust me," Grandma said. "Trust got us here." For a second, no one spoke, only the distant waves hitting the dock. Then Eve sighed. "All right, where's the real one?" Grandma stared at her, eyes cold as steel. "You'll get it when I see the broadcast live." Eve nodded slowly. "Fair enough, but there's something you should know." She pointed at the door. "You were followed." I turned. The sound hit me before I saw it. Engines, boots, voices. "Riker's men?" I asked. Eve shook her head. "Worse. City police, full tactical unit." Grandma swore under her breath. "How long?" 10 minutes, maybe 5. She loaded her gun. "Then we move fast." Eve started the upload. The screen flickered, numbers spinning, progress bar crawling like it knew our lives depended on it. I paced by the door. Every sound outside felt like a countdown. Grandma watched the window. Eve kept typing, muttering to herself. Then she froze. "What?" I asked. She pointed at the monitor. "The signal's being rerouted. Someone's intercepting it." Grandma leaned over her shoulder. "Can you stop it?" "Maybe, if I knew who." The laptop beeped. A new line appeared on the screen. "Hello, General. Long time." My blood went cold. "Riker," Grandma whispered. Then a voice came through the laptop speakers, calm, confident, familiar. "You really thought you could hide? Irina, you trained me better than that." Her face hardened. "You were a good soldier once. What happened to you?" He laughed softly. "You taught me to survive. You just never told me what it costs." Even plugged the laptop. "We need to move, now." Grandma grabbed the flash drive and motioned to me. "Back exit." But before we reached the door, gunfire. Bullets tore through the metal walls. Sparks flying. Eve screamed, ducked behind a crate. I dropped to the floor. Grandma fired back, precise, controlled. Outside, shouting, tactical lights flashing through the fog. We crawled toward the side door. Eve said, "The pier. There's a boat under tarp. We can take it." We ran. Rain pouring again. Sirens somewhere behind us. Grandma covered our backs. I helped Eve untie the rope. The engine coughed once, twice, then roared. We pushed off just as floodlights swept the dock. "Go," she shouted. The boat tore through the waves, bouncing hard. I looked back. Black shapes on the pier. Guns raised, muzzle flashes like lightning. Grandma ducked down, reloading. Eve steered with one hand. Laptop still open. "We lost half the data," she yelled over the engine. "But part of it's live." "How much?" Grandma asked. "Enough to make them panic." A bullet hit the railing near me. I flinched. Eve cursed. "They're following in another boat." Grandma looked at me. "Take the wheel." She stood up, aimed, and fired to perfect shots. The chasing boat veered, smoke rising. But then, silence. She dropped the gun, blood spreading across her jacket again. I screamed her name. She fell to her knees. Eve shouted, "She's hit. Keep the boat steady." I grabbed her, held pressure on the wound. Her eyes found mine. "Don't stop." "Not yet. We're almost there," I said. "We can make it." She smiled faintly. "You sound like me, 20 years ago." Her voice cracked. "If we don't make it, promise me you'll finish this." I nodded, tears mixing with rain. Eve pointed ahead. "There. An old lighthouse. We can dock there." We pulled in hard, water splashing everywhere. Dragged Grandma onto the rocks. Eve opened the laptop again, soaked but still working. "Signal's weak," she said. "But if we climb the tower, I might boost it." Grandma coughed. "Go, finish it." I said, "I'm not leaving you." She grabbed my arm. "That's an order." Eve and I climbed. The storm screamed around us. Wind like knives. Halfway up, I looked down. She was watching us from below, one hand on her side. Blood dark on her clothes. She raised her hand. Not waving, just steady, like a salute. Then she disappeared into the fog. At the top, Eve set the laptop down. Antenna raised. Signal locked, she said. Uploading again. The screen flickered. Images flashed. Files, names, contracts, payments. The truth going live. Come on, she whispered. Hold. The bar hit 100%. Done. Then, silence. I looked down again. The boat was gone. So was she. Just an empty dock. Rain falling. Waves swallowing her last trace. Eve whispered, I'm sorry. I said nothing. Couldn't, because somewhere inside, I knew she planned it that way. She wanted me alive. To finish what she started. We watched the first news alert pop up on screen. Breaking. Leaked documents expose corruption within city council and private security. Eve smiled weakly. Looks like your grandma just started a war. Coming up. The fallout. The city erupts. The truth spreads. But Riker isn't done yet. And neither am I. Morning came slow. Gray. Cold. I didn't sleep. Eve and I sat by the lighthouse window, watching the city far across the bay. Smoke. Sirens. It looked like the world was on fire. She said, You did it. She did it. The files went viral. I asked, How much did they get? She showed me the screen. Headlines flashing nonstop. Massive leak exposes corruption ring. Private security firm linked to killings. City council under investigation. It was everywhere. And in every headline, her name. Irina Vetrova. The city turned upside down in a single night. Protests. Arrests. Panicking every office. Riker disappeared. Just vanished like smoke. They'll come for us, Eve said. I nodded. Let them. She laughed once. You sound like her. Maybe I did. But inside, I wasn't fearless. I was broken. The police scanner crackled. 2 fugitives sighted near coastal highway. Eve killed the radio. They're still using our faces. I stared out the window. She knew they would. I said, That's why she left me the map. Eve frowned. Map? I showed her the small folded paper I'd found in her jacket pocket. Coordinates. Written in her sharp, military handwriting. Eve leaned in. That's inland. Forest sector. Abandoned training camp. I said, Maybe it's where Riker's hiding. She shook her head. Or where she wanted you to finish it. We packed before sunrise. No phones, no GPS, just the truck and that map. The road cut through ghost towns, boarded windows, streets flooded from the storm. Eve drove. I stared at the sky, thinking about Grandma. How calm she was even when everything collapsed. How she never begged, never hesitated. Do you think she knew she'd die? I asked. Eve didn't look at me. She accepted it long ago. By afternoon, we reached the camp. The gates were rusted. Signs said restricted area. We broke the lock and went inside. The air smelled like dust and old gun oil. Derricks half collapsed, shooting range overgrown with weeds. But the main building still stood. We entered. Walls covered with maps, names, photos, all printed, all connected with red string. She'd been here. She'd planned everything. Eve touched one of the photos. Riker, younger, smiling, underneath. Handwritten note. Trust no one, especially him, Eve said. She knew he was still alive. I nodded. She always knew. Then I saw something else. A sealed metal case under the desk. Inside. Another flash drive. The real one. Eve's hands trembled. That's it. The full data. I looked at her. Then we end this. We set up the laptop on a dusty table. Eve connected the satellite modem again. This time, we go public without any middleman, she said. Direct upload. No filters. But halfway through, her face changed. She whispered, Oh no. I looked at the screen. The upload froze. Then, message appeared. Took you long enough. Riker's voice filled the speakers, calm. Cruel. Your grandmother was right about one thing. The truth hurts. I shouted, Where are you? He laughed. Look behind you. Windows shattered. Flashbangs exploded. I hit the floor, ears ringing. Eve screamed. Men stormed in. Black armor, helmets, rifles. Riker walked in last. No mask, older, sharper, eyes dead. He smiled. You have her eyes. I tried to lunge at him. He didn't even flinch. Just pointed his gun at me. Easy, soldier, he said. I'm not here to kill you. Yet. Eve shouted. You killed her. He turned slowly. She killed herself the day she chose truth over loyalty. I said, you call murder loyalty? He sighed. You wouldn't understand. She built this machine. I just kept it running. I spat on the floor. You corrupted everything she stood for. He smirked. Everything she stood for was a lie. Eve tried to grab the laptop. One of the soldiers hit her with a rifle butt. She went down hard. I shouted, ran for her, but Riker fired a warning shot near my feet. Stay down, boy. This doesn't concern you. It concerns me. When you destroy everything she died for. He paused. You sound like her too. Then he knelt beside the case, ticked up the flash drive. This ends now. He snapped it in half. Silence. Just the sound of it breaking. Like something inside me cracked too. Eve whispered. No. I clenched my fists. It's backed up. Riker turned his head slightly. What? I smiled. You think she trusted only one drive? For the first time, he looked unsure. He stood up. Where is it? I said. Guess. He aimed the gun at me. Tell me, or a sudden explosion cut him off. The floor shook. Smoke burst through the side wall. Eve grabbed my arm. Go. We ran through the chaos. Another blast. Someone had rigged the camp. Maybe Grandma, maybe Oleg, maybe fate. We burst through the back door, coughing, half-blind. Behind us, flames, screams, and Riker's voice, shouting my name. We ran to the truck. Eve jumped in, engine roaring. The fire lit up the night like hell itself. Is he dead? She asked. I didn't answer. Because I didn't believe it. People like Riker don't die easy. Back in the city, everything was chaos. Protests turning violent, buildings burning, news anchors screaming about corruption, missing data, resignations. Eve turned to me. You know they'll come after us now. I said. They already did. She smirked. Fair point. We stopped at a bridge overlooking downtown. She lit a cigarette. What now? I looked at the skyline. Now we finish it. The backup's still safe. Where? I smiled faintly. In her grave. She froze. What? She hid the second drive inside her metal case. The one buried with her at the old base cemetery. Eve exhaled smoke. You're insane. Maybe. But that's exactly what she'd do. For a moment, we just stood there. The city below us screaming with sirens and rage. Everything she fought for. Half saved, half broken. I whispered. She said the truth matters more than life. Eve said. She didn't say whose. Then my phone buzzed. No number. Just one text. It's not over. Our eyes stared at it for a long time. Eve looked at me. He's alive. I nodded. Then we keep going. Coming up. The graveyard. The final drive. And the choice that will decide whether truth survives or dies with us. We drove all night. No radio. No talking. Just the sound of the tires slicing through wet asphalt. The storm followed us like a curse. Wind howling. Trees bending. It felt like the world itself didn't want us to get there. By dawn, we reached the outskirts. The old military cemetery. The place where she was buried. Where everything started. And maybe where it would end. Eve killed the engine. We sat there for a minute, breathing in silence. She said, if this backup's real, it's the last copy. Once it's out, there's no going back. I said, there hasn't been a back since she died. The gate was rusted shut. We climbed over. Mud clinging to our boots. Fog crawling across the ground. Rows of headstones stretched forever. Some cracked, some swallowed by weeds. Her grave was near the far wall. A simple stone with no rank, no medals. Just Irina Vetrova, 1953 to 2024. No flowers. No flag. Just a small dent in the dirt where the rain had eaten through. I knelt. For a second, I forgot about the world, the data, the war. It was just her and me again. Eve stood back, watching. You sure it's here? She asked quietly. I nodded. She told me once, when the world stops listening, bury the truth with your past. I started digging with my hands. The soil was wet, heavy. Each scoop felt like I was tearing open something sacred. Eve handed me a small metal tool from the truck. Faster, she said. We don't have much time. I didn't ask why. I already felt it, that familiar prickle on the back of my neck, like we were being watched. After maybe 10 minutes, I hit metal. A box. Small. Rusted. Military issue. My heart pounded. I pulled it out, wiped off the mud. Inside, her metal. And taped to the back, a tiny black flash drive. Eve exhaled. She really did it. I said. She never lie. She opened her laptop, connected the drive. A folder popped up. Iron Truth. Dozens of files, audio logs, photos, financial ledgers, names of every official involved. Eve whispered, "This will bring them all down." I said, "Good." Then she froze. "Wait, what?" She scrolled. "There's more. Personal files, surveillance logs, conversations between her and Riker." She clicked one. Her voice came through, calm, steady. "If you're hearing this, it means I didn't make it. The truth will outlive me. But if he finds you first, trust nothing. Not even Eve." My stomach turned cold. I looked at her. She looked at me. For a long second, no one spoke. Then she said softly, "You don't believe that, do you?" I didn't answer. Because I didn't know anymore. A faint sound echoed from the trees. "Boots on gravel." Eve whispered, "We have to go." I grabbed the flash drive and closed the box. She said, "Give it to me. I can upload from the truck." I hesitated. The voice in my head, Grandma's, whispered, "Trust nothing." I said, "We upload it together." Eve forced a smile. "Sure." We ran back toward the gate. Fog thick as smoke. I couldn't see more than 10 meters ahead. Halfway there, headlights cut through the mist. Black SUVs. Again, Eve cursed. "He's faster than I thought." Riker's voice boomed through a megaphone. "Hand it over. And maybe I let you live." I shouted back, "You already killed her. What's left to take?" His answer came as a gunshot. We dove behind a stone wall. Bullets cracked through marble. Eve pulled her pistol. "We can't outrun them," I said. "Then we outsmart them." She glanced at the flash drive in my hand. "You have a plan?" "Not yet." We crawled between the graves, keeping low. Rain started again. Sharp, heavy, blinding. Riker's men spread out, flashlights sweeping like predators. Eve whispered, "Give me the drive. I'll draw them off." I stared at her. "Why would you do that?" She met my eyes. "Because your grandma saved me once. In Afghanistan." She covered me, and I froze. "I never paid that debt." I shook my head. "If I give it to you, I might never see it again." She smirked sadly. "Maybe that's the point." Then she stood up and ran. Shots followed instantly. Lights turned. Voices shouted. I ducked behind a statue, clutching the metal box. Then silence. No more gunfire. No more shouting. Just the rain. I crawled forward. Eve's gun lay in the mud. Her laptop shattered. But she was gone. No body. No sign. Just gone. Riker's voice again. "Closer now. You really think she died for truth? She died for control." I gritted my teeth. "You killed her because she wouldn't kneel." He stepped out of the fog. Soaked, armed, eyes burning. "You call it murder. I call it cleanup." I raised the metal box. "You want it?" He smirked. "I'll take it from your corpse." I threw the box behind me, into a deep grave filled with rainwater. He turned to follow it. That's when I tackled him. We hit the mud hard. He swung first, heavy, brutal. I barely dodged, grabbed his wrist, slammed it against the tombstone. The gun fell. He kicked me off. We both scrambled. He reached for the weapon. I kicked it away. He lunged. We crashed into the grave, half submerged in cold water. He pressed my face under. I fought blindly, grabbing for anything. His vest, his throat, his memories. Then I felt something metal, the metal pin from the box. I stabbed upward. He gasped, stumbled back, blood mixing with rain. I crawled out, coughing, shaking. He tried to stand. "You think this changes anything?" he said. I said, "No. But it ends you." Then I kicked him back into the grave. And this time, he didn't come up. I stood there, soaked, trembling, staring at the water filling the grave. The box was gone. The flash drive too. Maybe washed away. Maybe buried for good. I didn't care anymore. Because she was right. Some truths don't belong to anyone. They just exist. As I walked back to the truck, dawn finally broke. The sky turned pale gold over the cemetery. Quiet. Still. I whispered, "It's done, Grandma." But even then, part of me knew it wasn't. When I reached the truck, the passenger seat was empty. Eve's jacket was there. And inside it, another flash drive, identical to the one I thought I lost. Labeled simply, "For him." I smiled through the tears. She made it. Somehow. Coming up, the final decision, to release it or destroy it, to honor her truth, or protect what's left of peace. I'm still here. And if you've been following me from the beginning, You know who I am. The grandson of Irina Vetrova, the woman who tried to expose the machine before it consumed her. And now, I hold the final piece. The second flash drive, the one Eve left behind. The one she called for him. For me. I'm parked on a cliff overlooking the city. The storm's gone, but the air still tastes like metal. Below, the city glows, cold, silent, unaware of the war that almost tore it apart tonight. I turn the flash drive in my hand. It's small, light. Funny how something that tiny can decide the fate of millions. I plug it into the laptop. The screen comes alive. Her handwriting appears. Digital, but hers. If you're seeing this, it means you made it, kid. I always knew you'd go further than I did. But here's the thing. Truth isn't free. You pay for it with peace. Her voice fills the cabin. Calm, steady, almost smiling. The files you found. They'll expose everything. Corruption, cover-ups, assassinations. Every piece of the iron truth. Release them, and governments fall. Armies turn. Chaos follows. But maybe freedom does too. I close my eyes. The wind outside howls again. Like it's warning me. She continues. Or you can destroy it. Let the dead stay buried. Maybe that's mercy. Maybe that's weakness. You'll have to decide what kind of man you want to be. I pause the playback. The laptop fan hums quietly. Somewhere far below, sirens wail. Faint, desperate, real. I whisper to myself, what kind of man am I? Because for the first time, there's no one left to guide me. Eve's gone. Riker's dead. Grandma's voice is just echoes. It's just me. And the truth. I open the folder labeled Iron Truth. Inside. Files upon files. Names I recognize. Some I don't. Generals, CEOs, presidents, every one of them tied by invisible threads. And for every document I open, I feel it. The weight. The responsibility. Because this isn't just about revenge anymore. It's about rewriting the world. I think about Eve's words. About the night in the graveyard. About what she said. Maybe that's the point. Did she mean this? That she knew I'd have to choose. That she'd die so I could carry the burden instead. And then, I remember Grandma's final warning. Trust nothing. Nothing. Not even Eve. Not even myself. I reach for the laptop, hovering over the upload button. One click, and everything goes public. Every lie, every murder, every hidden deal. I imagine it. The chaos, the fallout, the flames, cities erupting. Armies turning on each other. Maybe even civil war. And yet, maybe freedom too. Maybe people finally wake up. Then I imagine the other path. Dragging the drive out. Crushing it underfoot. Walking away. Letting history rot in silence. Maybe peace survives. Maybe millions sleep better, never knowing how close they were to the edge. Maybe ignorance really is mercy. But can I live with that? I replay Grandma's recording again. Her tone softens near the end. I spent my life chasing truth, but I never asked if people were ready for it. Maybe I was selfish. Maybe I just wanted to matter. If you're better than me, you'll know what to do. I stare out at the city lights again. Tiny dots of gold flickering in the dark. Each one. A life, a story, a dream. Do they deserve to know? Or to stay safe in the dark? 3 minutes in. Voice shift reminder if you're just tuning in. This is me, Alex Vetrova, telling you what happened after the iron truth was uncovered. I found the files. I found the people who killed her. And now, I hold the key to everything she died for. But I don't know if I should turn it. Lightning flashes over the horizon. Rain returns. Soft at first, then harder. Like the world itself refuses to let me decide quietly. I laugh, tired, hollow. Fine. I whisper, you want a sign? Give me one. And then the laptop screen flickers. A new folder appears. Hidden. Encrypted. Eve_backup. I freeze. I open it. Inside. A single video file. Time-stamped. 10 minutes before the graveyard. Eve appears on screen. Sitting in the truck. Talking directly to the camera. If you're seeing this, it means I didn't make it. Or maybe I did, and you're too stubborn to believe it. Either way. Listen, Irina's truth matters. But so does the world that comes after. Don't just think about what they did. Think about what people will do when they find out. We built systems on lies. Tear them down too fast. And everything collapses. So don't choose truth or peace. Choose timing. I blink. Timing. She leans closer to the camera, whispering. There's a third option. Then static. The video cuts off. A third option. My pulse quickens. I scroll through the files again, searching. And there it is. A small script file, hidden under system logs. Iron_sleep. I open it. It's a timed release protocol, an auto-upload set for 5 years from today. 5 years. Enough time for governments to shift, for people to adapt, for the world to brace for truth. She built this. She planned for it. I sit back, speechless. Eve wasn't trying to save herself. She was saving the message. Not for now, for later, for when we might actually deserve it. I whisper, "You knew I'd find this, didn't you?" The wind answers, soft, almost gentle. I copy the file, lock it in, encrypt the flash drive. The upload timer starts ticking. Silent, invisible. 5 years. Then the truth wakes up. I take a deep breath. The rain stops. A faint sunrise paints the horizon in orange and gold. I close the laptop. The city below still sleeps, unaware of the countdown that just began. And maybe that's how it should be, for now. 6 minutes in. Voice reminder again. This is Alex Petrova. And this is how it ends. Or maybe how it really begins. Because the truth isn't gone. It's just sleeping, waiting for the world to grow brave enough to face it. I put the flash drive back into the box. The one from her grave. Close it, lock it. Then I drive down the mountain. The world outside looks normal again, but I know better now. Every calm morning is built on storms someone survived before us, and every piece is just truth, postponed. I don't know where Eve is. Maybe she's dead. Maybe she's still out there, watching from some corner of the grid, but I know what she'd say if she were here. Don't stop moving, so I won't. As the screen fades to black, her voice echoes one last time. Coming up. The truth returns. 5 years later, the city looks different. Buildings taller, lights brighter, people rushing like nothing ever happened. I walk the streets and remember the storm, the graveyard, the flash drive in my hands. Eve is gone. Grandma is gone. Riker is gone. Only the memory of their voices, their warnings, and the choices I made remain. I clutch the box with the drive, hidden in a safe place all these years. It's time. The world has changed enough, grown enough, to handle what she left behind. I plug it into the network from a secure location. The files start to transmit automatically. No one knows yet, but within hours, everything will surface. Every corrupt deal, every hidden assassination, every lie someone built their life on. Cities won't collapse, but governments will shake. People will scream, demand justice, rise up. And some will fall. The world will never be the same. I watch the progress bar inch forward, each percentage point feeling heavier than the last. I hear her voice in my head, calm but commanding, telling me that truth is heavier than steel and sharper than any blade. I think about Eve, about the way she trusted me to do this. I think about Grandma, who lived and died for the truth. And I finally understand what they meant. This is not just about revenge. This is about rewriting history. The first alerts pop up on every major news channel. Screens flash with headlines. Social media erupts. People in offices freeze, staring at their monitors. Executives call emergency meetings. Journalists rush to verify, to broadcast, to scream into cameras. Every file exposed, every name revealed. The corruption they hid for decades is gone in seconds. People watch and gasp. Governments scramble to respond. Laws are questioned. Elections are challenged. The world shakes. I walk outside. The wind is cool, the city alive below me. I feel the weight lift slightly, though I know it will never leave entirely. Eve trusted me, Grandma trusted me, and I trusted myself. I made the choice. I chose timing, patience, and the survival of truth until the moment it could actually matter. People are waking up now. The consequences, I imagined 5 years ago, are unfolding. Chaos, fear, outrage, but also clarity, hope, and awakening. I see a news alert about a major resignation, one of the top corrupt officials caught in the files. People are protesting peacefully in some districts, violently in others. The truth doesn't come quietly. It doesn't wait politely. It crashes into life and forces everyone to pay attention. I smile faintly because this is exactly what Grandma wanted. She never wanted the world to ignore it. She never wanted fear to silence it. She wanted action. And now, the world will act. I walk through the city streets. People don't notice me. They are too focused on the revelations, too busy deciding what to do with their own lives now that secrets are revealed. Some argue in the streets. Some cheer. Some cry, some fall into despair. The spectrum of human reaction is violent, raw, unfiltered. I keep walking, silent, watching. The files are alive now. Grandma's legacy is alive now, and I am just a witness. I reach the bridge where I once made the choice to hide the drive. The city stretches below. Lights flicker in the river like stars trapped in water. I touch the box in my coat pocket. Remember the storm, the gunfire, the graveyard, the choices that brought me here. Every moment led to this. Every sacrifice mattered. Every life lost shaped this awakening. The world won't forgive easily. It won't change gently. But it will change. And for the first time in years, I feel the calm that comes after making the right choice. Not easy, not painless, but right. My grandmother's voice whispers in the wind, almost like a blessing. She knew I would do this. She knew I would wait for the moment when truth mattered more than fear. She always did. Screens in shop windows flash. Videos of leaked files, documents, hidden deals, all playing simultaneously. People stop to watch, gasp, point, argue. I see the chaos I imagined, but also the understanding I never dared to hope for. Some people cry openly, some throw their phones in anger, some take to the streets to demand justice. The world is alive again, aware, and for the first time in decades, awake. I pause on the rooftop. The sun is rising fully now. Light pours over the city, burning away the shadows of ignorance and silence. The files continue to spread. Governments issue statements, journalists scream updates, social networks explode with messages, videos, and calls for action. The truth is no longer hidden. It belongs to everyone. The world cannot pretend anymore. And I finally let myself breathe. I know Eve survived, somehow, somewhere, because her plan worked. I know Grandma's sacrifice is not wasted. I know Riker's shadow cannot touch the truth. The files are free. The people are free to see, to judge, to act. I look at the sunrise and whisper, it's done. The awakening is complete. The storm passed, but the ripples of it will last for years. Decisions will be made. Justice will follow, the guilty will fall, and the innocent will rise. I walk away from the rooftop, the city alive beneath me, knowing the hardest part is over. The legacy of the iron truth will shape the next generation. I am Malik Svetrova. I am the grandson. I am the one who carried the truth through fire, death, and chaos. And now the world knows. The files are out, the world is awake, and the storm has ended. Or maybe it's just beginning. Coming up, the choice, the sacrifice, the awakening. And the story ends with the truth finally breathing freely, like it was meant to. I stand alone on the empty bridge. The city hums beneath me, alive, unaware. 5 years of waiting, planning, surviving. Every choice, every sacrifice, every shadow I ran through led to this moment. The wind cuts through my jacket. It feels alive. Or maybe it's just me, thinking it's alive. I touch the flash drive in my pocket. The files are gone now, out, free. The world is awake. I should feel relief. I feel nothing. Just wait. The weight of knowing. The weight of knowing I carried her legacy. And now, it's bigger than me. I think about Grandma. About Eve. About Riker. About the night in the graveyard. The storm, the flashes, the gunfire, the blood. It's all burned into me. I feel it in my bones, in my pulse. The city below me is quiet. Or pretending to be. I speak aloud. My voice cracks. Was it worth it? No answer comes. I wait. There's never an answer. Not from the world. Not from me. Maybe not ever. I stare at the skyline. The sun is just touching the tallest buildings. Gold and fire. Beautiful. Silent. Alive. I think about timing. About choice. About patience. About power. About trust. About betrayal. About death. About life, about truth, about lies. Everything blends. Nothing separates anymore. The line between hero and witness blurs. Between victim and survivor. Between peace and chaos. I don't know who I am. I only know what I've done. The wind shifts. I hear it now. A low hum. Almost mechanical. Wrong. Unnatural. I scan the skyline. Nothing. Empty streets. The river shimmers below. Calm. Too calm. My hands shake. I pull the drive from my pocket again. It's cold. Heavier than it should be. A reflection hits me in the glass of the guardrail. My own face. Tired, hollow, determined. And behind me, a shadow. I turn. Nothing. Just me. Or so I think. I drop to my knees. Did I do enough? I whisper. My voice is swallowed by the wind. Nothing answers. Only the hum. The hum grows, vibrates through the bridge, through my bones, through the city. I look down at the river. The water ripples unnaturally, shimmers like oil. Colors shift. I blink. It's not water. Or maybe it's more than water. Maybe it's everything I thought I knew. Liquefy. The flash drive vibrates in my pocket, hot, burning, alive. I try to pull it out. It won't come. It's fused. My jacket, my hand, my palm, my pulse, everything. I scream. It doesn't matter. The city trembles, tiny at first, then violently. Buildings sway, lights flicker, sirens rise, then die. Cars slide, people run. Nothing makes sense. I feel it in my chest, like the world just inhaled then forgot to exhale. I stumble. My knees hit concrete. I see the skyline twist, the river rise, the horizon fold. My mind burns. I can't think. I can't move. I can only watch. And then, silence. Absolute. Complete. Terrifying. I open my eyes. The bridge is gone. The city is gone. The river is gone. Nothing remains but sky. Empty. Endless. Blue. I hear a whisper. Not human. Not mechanical. Not real. And yet I know it. Grandma. Eve. Riker. The world. Defiles me. It's all there. All at once. And then, a single flash. White. Blinding. Infinite. I scream. I can't scream. Time bends. Space bends. Reality bends. Then it stops. Silence again. I'm alone. Or not. The flash is gone. The bridge. The city. The river. Nothing. Just me. And the drive. Still in my hand. Still alive. Still humming. I look up. The sky shifts colors. Impossible colors. Shapes I can't name. Movement I can't follow. I whisper to myself. Barely breathing. Barely existing. It started. And before I can understand what, who, or why, the world changes again. The screen goes black. Nothing else.